Hi. Hi. So my name is Janvi Gatalia and I come from a city named Mumbai in India. And my background is in industrial product design, and currently I'm a first year student at DSI. And this is me. The reason I chose this picture is because I feel like the way I look at what I want to do in design started way before I actually got into design school. Um, I absolutely love documenting. I'm documenting everything around me all the time. And most often than not, I find myself documenting people. I've this habit of this hobby of taking pictures has sort of over the years turned into a habit of taking pictures of whatever I see around me. And this taking photos was like my way of seeing through stories, seeing through people, seeing through what um, people are doing, why are they doing what they're doing, and I just started enjoying the process so much. I didn't really realize that when I was looking back through my photos, I found that I've been clicking the same thing over and over again, and this sort of led me to create small series of uh, things that I saw. So this was a vegetable vendor that I used to see on my way to home from my college back in India, and I just clicked his picture every day, and this was my way of just noticing small details and the things that people are doing in their daily life, and that just intrigued me so much. That I started creating patterns and seeing stories in that. And the more I did this, I found more and more similarities in the way we are as humans, and also differences in the way we are as humans. Another thing, I've made a lot of series like this, which is like one topic, like one subject, but many days. So this is another one for feet. I made like a short video about how feet describe our personality and what does it have to say about us. So looking at all of these things, I realized that I was seeing stories of similarity and diversity in everything that I took pictures of. And I thought that looking at what I want to do in design, looking forward, I wanted to create like a sweet spot in the middle where we are acknowledging each other's differences and the diversity that we have as human beings, while also knowing and respecting and celebrating our similarity and making use of that. So my vision sort of has recently, freshly been developed, that I want to create a goal, which I don't know what I'm going to do with, but this is like freshly created, like this is something that I've been thinking of recently. But looking back at the work that I've been doing in design school in undergrad, I feel like I have used design uh, I have used design to reach this goal in smaller ways. So one of the projects that I worked in my undergrad was a chocolate packaging called Clap, where I was trying to encourage the habit of appreciation through cyclic chocolate packaging. Through this, I wanted to increase like gratitude and honest conversations among people. Another project that I worked in was an interactive news-themed cafe in which I wanted to create like cross-generational conversation among the young and the old by bridging the gap between traditional newspapers and digital new media. So this was a space that I created where the young and old can come in together and talk about current affairs and cultivate like a culture of knowing about what's happening, but also bringing the young and the old together. Another project that I worked on was a game design called Shasan, which I worked with a company called Nemesis Culture Lab last year, which is launched into the market a few months ago. And this game design was about engaging the youth in politics through a political strategy game about ethics and power. So I feel that this is about ethics and power. So I feel like the work that I've been doing before, unconsciously, subconsciously, has led me to create more and more conversation amongst people. I want to use design as a medium to create conversation. But now I came to DSI this year, and I learned that conversation itself can be a medium to create change. So this was the first time I did a facilitation this semester. I hosted a conversation in the celebration of community, and I did this with other three fellow students at DSI. Community is a word that we use so often here at DSI. So we were wondering that what does it exactly mean, and people who are already community leaders, community members, community organizations, what do they have to say about what community means? So we spoke to a lot of community leaders in New York City, and we heard that they lack meaningful conversations, connections amongst the community leaders. Like, they meet only in like formal networking events. There is no platform for support. They all have like similar missions, but they don't know about each other's challenges, and there's no shared sense of what community means for all of them. So we wanted to create a space which enables meaningful networking, gives them support in their mission, and helps them discover a shared meaning of community. So we wanted to create a very warm, comforting space. So we chose to host it in a house, and this was kind of the theme we were going for. And through the activities that we did, we explored different topics like, why does community matter to you? And when did you feel genuinely belonged? Who is included and excluded in community? And I felt like all of these things, like designing a conversation was so interesting, because we could use different materials like these beads and clay, and people who are at a lack of words can use materials to speak about what they want to say, and what challenges are we going through. So this was a really successful exercise where two people acted as consultants and one person was a client, and two people were clients and one person was a consultant, and they shared their challenges, and the other two came up with instant solutions of what they could do. These are some of the things that they created, and they explained of what community means to them and what is their vision for their organization. Some things that they said was that they liked how the honest conversation. I like the honest conversations that humanize us. I feel like I learned so much on how to connect across community. And some things that they would like to bring to their communities were new connections, better methods for communication, ways to align on shared purpose. Overall, I would say that something that I learned from this is the power of safe spaces. That's something that everybody wants to be in, knowingly or unknowingly, and how these safe spaces can create spaces for conversation, for vulnerability and honesty. And I would like to, through my work, through my design, I would like to foster this, enable this for the people around me. Thank you.
Very strong opening, and that second slide where you talked about how you see the world through images and you introduced the pictures. I think you had people locked in, at least you had me locked in, because I'm like, oh, she took those pictures? Oh, I want to learn more, I want to understand. And so it's just a great way to introduce yourself without having to say much, right? You only got to the second slide, it was just images, and I was already very curious about who you were and how you see the world. So I thought that was excellent in how you talked about, images and storytelling and little observations. But I would have expected you to say you were a researcher, like how you were setting it up, and like the small differences that we see day to day. I expected you to say, so now I use that piece of, that observation to apply it to design from a research perspective, and you didn't. So I was like, okay, wait, hold on, where are we going? Okay. And then you introduced a framework where you talked about similarities and diversity and how you want to bridge it with equitable communities, but that's a very large goal. And then later on, you realize that goal could really be narrowed in and made more concrete and more achievable if you focus on community. I would have gone back to that framework, because now you've figured out how you can get to your larger goal through a more defined purpose, and so I would have reintroduced that in the conversation. But it got a little distracting when you introduced so many case studies to get to the community piece, and I was like, wait, what's happening? But once you got there, then I started to get it. So I think you can eliminate all of the case studies, get right to the community piece, and then make the connection back to the similarities and differences that you introduced as your core sense of being and purpose.
Okay, thank you.
Great job. I thought you did a great job to capture what these things are supposed to do, is like draw someone in
want to know more, want to know more, want to know more. I think you captured that. In particular, it should and you buy it as showing a mission, like your mission in life in some ways, and your mission in design, your practice, your passion, and you did it in a mature way. You had that mature voice in that, and it was solid. You weren't reading slides. You were in it, which is really great. And then you did a great job to quickly capture your design decisions, so product and what you learned really quickly. So I think it's you embodied it and followed it quite well. Contrary to, I appreciated you swiping through. I think we're so used to fast images and fast learning that I got the gist, and it was helpful to see some of your capabilities in product and game design and research, all this thing I saw it happen. My questions for you is around conversations. I would think of framing it a little more specifically. What type of conversations? Is it is it qualitative information? Is it safe space conversations is more descriptive? Conversation is too big, I think. So I think about that a little bit. And then bridging practices. I think you're on this journey of bridging from industrial design to social design. So maybe spend some time to think about what that practice is looking like, even if you want to visualize it or think of a framework that helps you do that.
Yeah.
For me, when I did it, for me it was about how leadership is underneath what I do on a day-to-day basis. And so it sounds like this is bringing a lot of depth to your practice, which is cool. I just kind of want to see it or know a little bit more about it.
Okay.
And then where are you going? I didn't quite see it. So yeah. But I sense where you're going. I don't know what you're thinking about. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
But it's getting there.
Yeah.
It could just be a sentence or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Okay.
But good job.
Thank you.
We have a voice.
Okay.
But kitchen has.